Santa Croce was Cory's first European church and will probably always be his favorite. Today we're coming back to see the Pazzi Chapel. On the day that we were going to see Santa Croce and the Pazzi Chapel, we ended up having to sign paperwork, and when we shifted those days, we missed out on the opening times of the Pazzi Chapel. So 5 years later, again, it's something that I'm going to get to show him, and I'm very excited about it. The interior of Santa Croce is a highlight of the specifically Italian architecture of the Gothic style. It's impressive owing not only to its spaciousness, but especially to the formal clarity of its architecture, which is so characteristic of Florence. The extremely wide nave opens into the flanking aisles with wide arches, as in the case of Santa Maria Novella. As in nearly all Franciscan churches, the timbers are open, not covered by a vault. The view into the depth of the church ends with the rectangular enclosure of the choir. According to their ideal, the Franciscan order was under the obligation to lead an ascetic life without personal belongings. Hence, the order was dependent on generous donations of wealthy families in order to finance Santa Croce. These families also contributed to the extensive artistic decoration, and because of this, had the right to bury their relatives here. In this way, the basilica finally became a kind of pantheon for the important figures of the fine arts, music, the sciences, and the city's intellectual life. The Pazzi Chapel was built as a funeral chapel for the founder family as well as chapter house for the Franciscans. It was one of Filippo Brunelleschi's main architectural works, though his successors completed what he had begun. The building was completed 2 decades after the architect's death. The interior of the rectangular main room seems at first sight reminiscent of the old sacristy of San Lorenzo. Compared to its predecessor, the Pazzi Chapel presents another enhancement of the pure, rational complexity with which all elements of the architectural structure relate to one another. During the 15th century, Florence embarked on a period of cultural glory without parallel, now known as the Renaissance. This was to be the century of humanism, whose scientific and spiritual philosophical achievements continue to influence the Western worldview to the present day. Starting with Donatello and Botticelli, the list of outstanding artists who matured in the 15th century Florence is almost endless, and it culminates in the great geniuses of Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. Their works still feature among the most famous in the entire history of art. It would be difficult to name another single place which hosted such a variety of artistic talent as Florence did, starting in the 15th century and continuing down through the generations.